Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman. Hey guys, welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and I'm joined today by
Tony Frezza,
Whitney Stevenson.
And today we're going to be talking about how to maximize the 10 minutes before and after every class. So a lot of our members are actually really good about this. They come in pretty early to class, 5-10 minutes early, but a lot of them don't have any idea what to do with that time. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do with that time and how to kind of best use that time for you, like in your needs, whether it's preventing injuries or getting warmed up for the workout, getting the most out of that workout. We're going to talk about all the different things that you might want to consider for using that 10 minutes to the best of your advantage. So just kind of kick it off. What are some of your things you guys like to do when you're in here early, you know you have a workout that day?
Why don't you kick it off? Because you were just talking about how you make it routine. I think that's so important to talk about, that it's routine for you to come in and do certain things.
So, I like to spend a few minutes every time I come to the gym before I train, and sometimes even before I coach, just to kind of like check in to what I'm about to do. And for me, right now, before I train, I go back to my little locker and get my foam roller and my strap, and I stretch. And I spend like 10 minutes just stretching anywhere I feel like needs a little extra TLC, kind of just to like get me dialed into preparing my body to train. And then I can kind of like leave everything else at home or at bay. Like I don't have to bring all of that into the gym because it's like my time, getting ready to train. And I just want to like take a few minutes to slow things down, clear my mind, and take care of some of the like spots that need a little more TLC.
That's awesome to like set the intention for the day and like the workout. Like a lot of times, I know if I'm running a little late, like jump into the warm up and like that stuff sticks with you. That stuff that you were trying to clear your head of and like really get into the workout and devote your 100% to the workout. It's important to get that 5 minutes of just kind of like peace in your head and just kind of just be there.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like any kind of rituals. Like I do little rituals even like at my house, like before I go to bed I have like a certain thing that I do before I go to bed, or when I wake up I have a certain thing that I do. So I was kind of thinking like, well, why don't I have that pattern at the gym? Like if I'm getting benefits, like if I know I do this and this, I'm gonna have a good night's sleep and I do that, why am I not doing that at the gym? Why am I not taking the time to kind of do X, Y, and Z to prepare myself for a workout, and I don't have to worry about any of that other mess that's going on? It still might be there, but I can be a little bit more present just by going through like even a 5-minute little ritual.
Yeah, I love the foam roller. Like it doesn't, I don't even think you have to really necessarily get anything physical out of it, but I think it's just more that mental of like, you're almost just like taking that stress and commotion from the day and saying, okay, I'm no longer rushed. I have a little bit of time, and then set some intention for the workout. And then start to like look at the workout and decide, what do I want to get out of this today? I think that's really key. It could be thinking about like what kind of time it's going to take you. Is it going to take you 8 minutes, or is it going to take you 28 minutes? And figuring out, okay, how do I maybe want to pace it? Or I would encourage you to get something in your head that's not related to the score, something that you can 100% control that you want to get out of today. So maybe it's like, I really want to improve my positions on my cleans, or I want to work on getting under the bar faster today, or I want to try to hang on to the bar for an unbroken set for my first round. Something that you can control, because you may not be able to control the third or fourth round as much as how you can control that first round, something like that.
Yeah, I think even something as simple as just checking in on the computer and then going and looking at the whiteboard you can get so much out of just knowing what the workout is. Like just knowing ahead of time, 5 minutes ahead of time, all right, we're doing a strength portion, we're doing this, we're doing pull-ups or whatever it is, then you can go and you can really maximize your hour because you have your stuff ready. You don't need to be like running around the gym, like grabbing your shoes, grabbing this, because you like just pull it all out before class starts. Then you can find time to like put your shoes on or put your grips on without taking time out of your strength piece or your skill piece, which I think is super valuable because sometimes we only have 12 minutes to build to a heavy back squat. If you spend 4 of those minutes getting your knee sleeves, getting different shoes, getting your belt, like you've just wasted a third of your time for your strength piece. Like imagine if you had that, like imagine if you just wasted a third of your day. Like that would be really crappy. So
yeah.
I think just taking it takes 25 seconds to read the board and understand what's going on. You take 25 seconds to do that and like prepare yourself for class. You're gonna truly maximize your hour just by taking a little bit of time ahead to kind of like set yourself up ahead of class.
And I would even take that, I do take it a step further in my life, is that I'll look at the workouts in advance, because now that I'm 33, you guys will know when you're older.
A master. Ooh.
No.
Not even a master. He's not even a master's athlete.
I meant it in that I am breaking.
43?
I'm breaking down a little bit faster than you guys. Like I need more mobility
Clearly, yeah.
in my life. Yeah, exactly. So I need to spend a little more time on certain body parts, right? So for me to check the workout in advance and say, okay, like today we had pull-ups and handstand push-ups. Like my shoulders are gonna give me some trouble. I know it. Like I need to go in there and do some crossover symmetry, maybe some lacrosse ball under the scap and under the shoulder blade to just get everything warmed up. Like, so kind of seeing where your intentions can go for that first 10 minutes and get something out of it can help a lot.
Yeah, it really differs. Like if we're doing, like you mentioned, handstand push-ups, pull-ups, like overhead squats, some of us, we were talking to Zach yesterday, like he was saying he needs, 20, 30 minutes before his traditional warm-up when he knows he's doing overhead squats, and he's not even 33 yet. So, I think if you know that complex movement is coming up, or it's something for you specifically, you have back issues and it's deadlifts, those are the days that you really want to try to get there early, especially as people that come in early morning, 5, 6 a.m. 10 minutes is everything because you're just waking up at that point. Yeah. So it's a huge difference.
I think just getting familiar with the workout is so important. I was talking to 3 people yesterday after class and I was going to read them the workout and they were like, don't tell me, I'm not going to go. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you won't go if you know what you're doing? Like, so many people think that they can have a great workout by just not knowing what the workout is and going hard. And I think that's kind of immature thinking. Like, you can have a better workout knowing what it is, even if you're dreading it, because you can prepare better for it. Rather than just being like, I'm not gonna know what it is, I don't wanna know, and then like there's thrusters and rope climbs and you don't have your knee sleeves and you don't have long socks and you're not gonna have a good workout. You're gonna have to modify or change something up. So, I think I would challenge people to kind of like look at the workout and find something that they can, do to better prepare themselves. Like you can take that, feeling of uh-oh and like turn it into like, well, I'm gonna prepare for that. I'm gonna make that the goal of the workout is to do this as best as I can. And I'm gonna take 5 minutes before class and like work on whatever that is. So yeah, that's so funny because I just talked to people about that last night.
That's one of the reasons why we post the workouts and post the week ahead of time. We've talked to other affiliate owners that kind of question that. They're like, well, CrossFit's all about the unknown and the unknowable. And I think when it comes to what we're training for and what we want to be able to possibly do in our lives, we do want to be ready for the unknown, but we also want people to take ownership of their fitness. Mm-hmm. And if they have an injury they have to work around, or if they need more prep for certain movements, we want them to know that. And that's kind of the maturity you're speaking to is like, if you want to do the thing where you don't look, fine, but realize that there's value to be had by looking and by having a better approach.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Just wait till they're 33. Everything goes downhill.
So I do think that's a good point. Not for a 33-year-old, but I think I hear this a lot from masters athletes or anybody who's a little bit older, is that I hear them so commonly, like, I don't even kick into gear. I don't even hit my stride till the 4th round in a 5-round workout. To me, that just says you're not warmed up enough. You know, you basically missed an opportunity in those first 3 rounds to do better in that workout. So I would say if that's something you've felt consistently as an athlete, whether you're masters, whether you're younger, you don't kick into gear until later in the workout, then you want to do some kind of warm-up beforehand. And that's where I would encourage you maybe do something beyond the foam roller, something to get your aerobic system going. So what do you guys like to do in that sense? I see it more times in the open. People are doing more of this stuff because they want to get the best workout. But what do you guys like to do for, like, if you really want to have your best day in that sense?
I mean, I have to be sweaty. Like, I have to be sweaty to have a good workout. And like, I almost feel I have to be sweaty before I even like mobilize. Like, I'll be doing some, like, a smaller, you know, monostructural aerobic thing, like, I don't know, 50 calorie bike, 50 calorie ski, 500 meter run, and then I'll mobilize, and then I'll do even another aerobic piece. I mean, that's like a little extreme for some people, but for me, that's when I feel the best. I feel like I get the most out of my mobility when I'm a little warm. And then when I'm already warm and going into an aerobic piece, I feel like I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about my knees or my ankles when I'm running because I know they're loose. I don't have to worry about my lats when I'm skiing because I've already hit the foam roller. So like, for me, that's just something I really like to do. And if I'm going to do a workout and I'm trying to do my best in the workout, I'm gonna make sure I do that thing. Like a small piece to get sweaty, I'm gonna mobilize, and I'm gonna do a long aerobic piece to prime my nervous system and my aerobic system. Because I personally hate that feeling of being done with a workout knowing I could have done better. Like, I didn't feel good until the end. I cannot stand that feeling. Like, that makes me want to just do the workout again, and I've done that in the open a few times. And I never feel good. Like, I don't ever feel good in those 4 rounds of just like, I'm just like out of breath. Things don't feel right. My kip feels off. Things aren't, you know, clicking how they normally do. So I really like to take that time every day to kind of do those things before I work out, so I know that I'm going to perform my best.
Yeah, I think some people will hear what you said of like 50 cal row, 50 cal bike, and they're used to thinking of it in a workout setting where it's like, that's so hard, like, why would I do that before a workout? But they have to understand it's a completely different approach, completely different pace. I mean, Whitney's warm-up pace is still probably better than like me and Tony's regular pace, but like, it has to be, there's a couple terms for it. Some people use the term Z1. Some people use the term conversational or sustainable pace. Like, if you're doing this aerobic work, it's a pace for you that you think you could maintain for at least 60 minutes. And you're doing 5 to 10 minutes of that. You could do more, but if you hit a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes, you'll start to break a little bit of a sweat, and it will prime your aerobic system for when that workout starts. You won't have that shock that's like normally hits when you get like 60 seconds into a workout, like, oh shit, I went too fast. That usually happens because you're not prepped for that.
Like a pace that you could kind of have a conversation while doing it, I think, or a hard conversation. Like, maybe you're not getting every word out, but you're kind of breathing in between. I always kind of like have to check myself because I am one to want to go harder than that pace. And so I have like certain RPMs or certain calories per hour. I have little other I don't know what you want to call them, like landmarks, I guess, or like numbers I want to hit on those things. So I know that I'm actually warming up and not overworking, which is something that it'll actually deter people from even wanting to do that as your warm up. It's like, oh, that's really hard, I'm going to save it. Like, no, you don't need to make this really hard, and you can help your body feel better by just doing it, and maybe you're just going a little bit slower, which is okay to do.
I think a lot of people would question, like, well, isn't that what the warm-up's designed for? You know, to get me ready. And it's like, you know, you can take your fitness a step further than everyone else by building your aerobic base. You know, spending 5 minutes before, maybe 5 minutes after as well. You know, just building that aerobic base for yourself.
And a lot of times too, we're, you know, in class we're trying to do, like, this would be more of a general warm-up. And there's also more of a specific warm-up where if we're like snatching, we want to do some snatching, we want to do some overhead stuff, we want to do some squatting, we want to do stuff that's specific to those movement patterns. So we don't necessarily always have the exact amount of time in class that we want to have to dedicate to a general warm-up and then to dedicate to a specific warm-up. Usually the general is what has to suffer a little bit. So with the getting some of that out of the way first. Then when you have that specific warm up in class and you're doing some snatching, you already feel good, the bar's moving well, and you get more out of the class warm up, and then you get more out of the workout, which it all kind of cascades down from there. So it's really cool. You mentioned something really good, which was just getting sweaty, and I think there's so many benefits to that. From an injury prevention standpoint, I think that's huge. Like, even if you did nothing related to your injury, but you just got sweaty, you're preventing future things from happening, or making what you may already have as a previous injury worse. It's a game changer in my opinion.
Yeah, you guys getting the muscles warm, it's huge. Choose dynamic, over just going down and going into like a down dog or something, like just static stretching. If you can do more of a dynamic warm up, just get everything warm.
Yeah, I think that, you can spend this like 30 minutes stretching and feel really good, but you could also spend like 5 minutes on the assault bike and then do like a couple 200-meter runs, maybe a couple lunges, and then make your warm up that 10 minutes, and you will probably get just as much mobility as you would have with the 30 minutes of stretching. You've primed your nervous system, you're feeling better, and when you go to pick up like the 10-pound goblet squat for warm up, it feels a lot better. It probably feels equivalent to how you would feel if you stretched your hips for 30 minutes, just taking like 10 minutes to kind of like lubricate your whole body.
Yeah, there's a lot of research about like static stretching. Some of it's beneficial, but once you hit a certain point, you're temporarily weakening that muscle. You kind of take out some of that elasticity, and you temporarily weaken that muscle for a couple hours. So as a general rule of thumb, it should be more dynamic the 10 minutes before class, and then after class, which we'll get to a little bit later here in a second, it will kind of change to more passive or static of approach for stretching. Let's talk more about before class though. Let's talk about people that have like kind of more specific issues, like you have a back issue, you have shoulder issues. How do you guys think about that? Do you guys have issues that you attack differently for yourselves, and what does your like protocol look like?
I have two things that I do other than my orange foam roller and purple band that I stretch with, that I try to do every day, and one of them is crossover symmetry. Pretty much every day I do crossover symmetry. I don't just wait until I have to snatch, because normally I'm putting weight over my head, whether it's with a barbell, a dumbbell, or it's handstand push-ups, or it's muscle-ups. There's some kind of weight pulling activity happening with my shoulders. And because I know my background, I have a different shoulder background than most people. I was a swimmer, so there's not necessarily injury, but just it was a different muscular development for 20-something years, and now I'm trying to like add in some strength overhead. So it's something that I do, and not only do I do it to like physically feel good, I know that I'm secure when I do it. Like, I feel very confident when I do lifts after I've done crossover symmetry, pull-ups. I just know that I'm primed and I'm ready to do it. And I can feel while I do it that my body is like ready to go. The one that I specifically do is the activation, and it's like 8 to 10 reps. And basically it's on that little metal placard. And it basically tells you how to go through it, heavy and light bands, where the bands go, and like what to do with it. And I literally just follow it. It used to take me like 7 minutes to get through it because didn't know everything. And now it literally takes me like 2.5 minutes. I have everything memorized. I know the flow of how it goes. I know where the bands go, heavy, light. And it's super quick. It's 2.5 minutes, and I can trust my shoulders. I don't feel like I'm gonna get injured or anything, which for me is really, really cool to have that ability to do something and then just be confident in my workout. Like, that just is a game changer to me. And then the other thing that I've been starting to do more recently is breathing and bracing. Again, because I swam, I definitely breathed differently, and I never really utilized my breath when I lifted. I held my breath, I guess. I never used it to enhance my lifts. I never really knew how to brace my core. I was doing a lot of like Pilates abs, I guess I would have to say. And so recently I've been going over some bracing work, and just working out how to brace my body, use my core. I do drills like wall sits, working on like breathing into my diaphragm and like keeping my back flat. I do drills on the ground with a barbell, and like pulling the barbell in with my legs and then like keeping my back flat and then breathing into my diaphragm.
It's like a dead bug, right?
Yeah, it's like a dead bug, exactly. You can do them with dead bugs, but those are two things that like have made a huge difference. Just me spending a little bit of extra time and then realizing, oh, when I back squat, I'm gonna brace just like how I did that dead bug. My core is gonna feel exactly the same way. And just things have started to click, just taking 3 minutes and doing, 3 sets of 10 dead bugs. Like, it's such a small thing, but it makes such a big difference. And I'm such a believer in like the little things add up, and it's something that you can incorporate before or after class. I prefer both of those before, because it kind of preps your body and like dials you mentally into like, okay, I'm gonna back squat and I'm gonna brace, and I just spent 3 minutes figuring out my breath for that, and now I'm gonna be able to do it with confidence, with weight on my back.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Tony?
I can't say enough good things about doing crossover symmetry before class. I mean, we're baseball players, so we're way more jacked up than you are. and it's only on one side, so that makes it even worse. But a couple months ago, or I guess back in January, we had Ben Bergeron with the Comp Train Camp, and he showed us their protocol and how they go through it every single day. Told us this story about Heather going through an injury, snatching, not snatching at all, going through the protocol every day or 3 times a day, and then hitting a new PR without even snatching for months, which is insane. But that's something that I've incorporated to my warm-up or pre-warm-up every single day, and it's been amazing. I'd say anything upper body, whether it's pushing, pulling, get on those crossover symmetry bands. It's going to help so much. Neck tension too, if like you have neck problems or you feel tension in your traps, it can help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine's, similar approach, but completely different muscle. I've had a lot of back issues, so for me, I think about activating every muscle that kind of surrounds the spine. So like core, obliques, low back, stuff like that, hip flexors, quads, hamstrings, groin. Like basically that's kind of thinking of every muscle that's kind of surrounding the back. And I have a protocol that I go to, and when I do it, I feel amazing. When I forget to do it, definitely notice a difference, and even injured myself at times because I've forgotten to do it. So I really like single leg variations. Since mine's more back related, I'm doing more leg and hip stuff, but I love single leg variations. So things like single leg glute bridges, single leg deadlifts, a Cossack squat or side lunge. And you'll see when I program warm-ups for our groups, you're gonna see a lot of those things in there, and that's why I do those things, is because I've had a history personally. I know how important back injuries are and how debilitating they can be when they happen. So I do a lot of that stuff for myself, but then I also incorporate a lot for our class warm-ups, and it's amazing. You have, like, most of us, because of the time we spend sitting, we have really big, powerful muscles that kind of sit dormant. You could squat and not really use your glutes, which are a huge muscle. You could squat and have super tight hamstrings that are not really firing, and just be constantly rolling into your toes because you're not even using your backside at all. And just doing like some single leg deadlifts or some single leg squats, kind of like a pistol, lowering on the box, gets those muscles firing. It forces them to fire because you're like isolating them to a certain degree. And then once you do that, you feel so much stronger, so much more powerful, and keeps that injuries minimal.
Yeah. I think what's also kind of important to talk about is that like this doesn't need to be like military serious work, and it's something that you can share too. So like there are lots of things I've learned to do in my warm-up that I like because I saw someone else doing it and they showed me what it was. So like, for example, I used to work out with this girl, and she used to have ankle injuries all the time, so she would floss her ankles, and I wasn't like, I don't need to floss my ankles, whatever. And then I started doing it, and I was like, I don't even floss my teeth. I do floss my teeth, probably not as often as my dentist wants me to, but it happens every once in a while. Anyway, yeah, so I did it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing because I just tried it because she was doing it, and I was like, wow, like I want to incorporate this more often, and especially now. I injured my ankle a year and a half ago, and every once in a while after I run or something, I feel it not feeling great, and now I know to do that just because she shared it with me, and I like tried it out one time. So I think as we're talking about all these things you can do before class, like it's also important to know that you can share it, and it's part of your community. It's part of like why we're doing this podcast for you guys, is so you can like share this information and still have that like 10 minutes to be social, but to actually like get something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Just to be clear, flossing your ankles is with the voodoo bands. It's kind of like a big fruit roll up that you wrap around your ankle and mobilize with it. But I think you brought up a good point, which is the social aspect, and that was something that we wanted to talk to was, that 10 minutes before is a good chance to make this more than just a workout, to meet some of the people in your class, talk more with your coaches, and just enjoy the social aspect that comes with CrossFit. And if you're someone that's really new or newer and you're having trouble sticking to a workout routine, that's one of the things that makes CrossFit so great. You have friends here that you can look forward to seeing every day, and it kind of pulls you to the gym rather than feeling like this is something you have to do each day, or you have to kind of build that motivation to show up to the gym every day. When you build relationships in the gym, you spend the 10 minutes before and after, now you start to look forward to coming to the gym. It becomes more about the social community and the fun of it rather than just pushing yourself in the workout.
Yeah, I think like we all think that that's where the magic happens as coaches. Like when you get to see people like just, building relationships, like sometimes I see myself as like the catalyst of that. Like, oh, so-and-so, meet so-and-so. They like the same things you do, or whatever it is. And
question of the day.
Yeah, question of the day. I love question of the day. And you get to kind of like know people on a deeper level, and I just like watching people grow and seeing them build relationships with each other. And with the next class coming in too, I think like the 10 minutes before and after are so important, and like again, I think it is where the magic happens.
It's where, you're not going to win Athlete of the Month if you don't show up early and leave late.
Pressure's on, guys.
That's just the bottom line. So if you want those accolades, you gotta spend extra time here.
Definitely. So let's kind of transition to after class. This won't be quite as long because a lot of that stuff overlaps. After class, the social thing is even better because everyone's already done with the stress of the workout. You can chill, you can have your fit aid, hang out with us for a little bit, have your cold brew coffee. But what are some things you guys like to do after from like a physical perspective to just feel good going in the next day or whatever it might be?
Nothing. That's how you end up injured.
I like to walk or ride a bike. I used to row before I discovered the assault bike. I used to actually row after a workout. It was kind of gross, but that was one of the things I learned from swimming. Like after every single race, I always would warm down or cool down. So I'd always be going back to the pool and getting in after I just raced. And it ended up being like the hardest part of my race was actually trying to train or warm down and do something when your body is like, no, we don't want to do this. So similar in CrossFit, you finish the workout and you're like, the last thing I want to do is move. I just want to lay here. I want the fan to blow on me. Somebody bring me frozen grapes, whatever it is. But the best thing you can do for yourself is to actually move and like kind of start to clear your body of lactic acid, and that actually starts to reset your body for your next workout. Whether it's just like a 200-meter walk around the building, sometimes I'll walk around the building and then get on the bike, or just walk back and forth in the gym if it's super hot, and then try to just stay moving a little bit longer, or maybe give yourself a minute on the ground and then get up and try to move. Or even if it's after you put your weights away, try to stay moving just to help clear your body. I know I've left a class and not even been able to drive my car. I've been like, I can't drive my car right now. I don't even know what to do. And I would have felt better if I took time, 5-10 minutes, and just sat on the bike and just didn't even use my arms. Literally just like spun on the bike just to kind of flush. And I think that's overlooked a lot. Like we don't talk about cooling down and like resetting for the next. We're so focused on the effort at hand that sometimes gets overlooked, and it's so important, especially like if you're competing or you want to prevent injury or you want to improve and help build your aerobic system. That is an easy step to take that's going to help boost all of that.
Yeah, I think we've all had the experience where we finish a workout and we actually feel worse after the workout. Like if Fran's almost like the most prime example of this, where if you do a Fran in 2 to 4 minutes or so, which is definitely a really fast time, it hurts when you're doing it, but once you stop, your forearms just blow up. Like you literally feel the rush of like the lactic acid and all these byproducts that are rushing to your muscles. And when you move, you're like training your body to kind of shuttle that out. And if you just go and sit in your car and drive to work, and you spend the rest of the day sitting in a chair, like you are going to stiffen up so quick because those muscles are just filled with those byproducts that you never did the work to kind of clear it out and feel good going into the next piece of your day.
Yeah, we used to call it rigor mortis. So like when I would swim, and like sometimes we'd be at a pool that doesn't have a warm down pool, so you only have one pool, so you're racing only in that pool, so there's no area to warm down. So you get done with your race and your body just is like this, like you're just like death, like literally rigor mortis, like petrified wood. And like again, one thing I don't like, I hate that feeling. So that's something that happens after you do a workout. It's exactly what Drew's talking about. So taking a couple minutes to just walk, spin, row on damper 1, turn it down and just kind of stay moving is going to help so much.
Yeah. And we're doing this podcast because we want people to know it's okay to stick around. It's not like, hey, your time's over, get out of here, let the new class come in. Like, we really want you guys to stick around. Hop on a machine. 5 minutes is all it takes. 5 minutes can change the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and then prevent you from an injury that changes the next three or four months. So, and then when we, coming back to some of the stretching stuff that we talked about for the before class, you definitely want to gear it more towards now more of your static, passive, deep stretching stuff. We've done Ramlan before, or similar things in class. You can really hold some longer poses after class, and I like to do some of the more deeper lacrosse ball stuff too. Then just because if you do too much opening up before workout, sometimes you're flexible but you're unstable because you've opened up new ranges of motion that's not really stable for you, like a new overhead position. So you want to open up a little bit before, but it's not really your time to make long-term progress. It's more of like getting you the best hour. And then after workout, you can start to think of, okay, what's the things I need to attack, like my tight hip flexors from sitting, that I can really dedicate 3 minutes aside to the couch stretch or something like that, where it's going to open it up big time and make some real clear progress towards a more larger goal in that sense.
That's where you get, I think, the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
When it comes to stretching, like you can get a little bit of benefit before, but after a class is when you get the true, like Drew's saying, like the long-term benefits from it.
Yeah, and you guys know your lifestyles better than we do. If you've sat at work all day and you need that time before. If you're going to go hop on a plane and sit for 6 hours, like get some time in after, like kind of know your body and what you need.
Yeah. We'll wrap this thing up. One thing I'll say though is I've actually worked with a lot of people individually on kind of this 10 minutes before specifically, and the after too, but more of that 10 minutes before protocol. Like right now, when this is posted, you guys are listening, we're going to be done with it. We're running 30-minute training sessions right now, and some people, they're dedicating their 30 minutes to saying, hey, I have messed up hips. What are some things that I can do before class? So this is something that you can utilize. You can ask questions of the coach, but you can utilize a full personal training session to figure out what are the best pre-workout exercises that I can do to get myself in the best position to succeed. Yeah. So, anything else to add? All right, guys, that's it. Come early, stay late. We'll see you at your next class.
Stay healthy.